to your right.
Yes, please.
Now that we're live, we can't go. That's
Oh,
fine.
and it looks good. I mean, I can still see the back.
I'm going to go ahead and call our meeting to order so we can rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kathleen, if we can go ahead and get a roll call.
Steve Bone,
Yes.
Angie Byers.
Yes.
Robin Klosterman,
Yes.
Brad Waldoff,
Yes.
Jill Winley,
Yes.
Jane Willenberg,
Yes.
Kathleen Smith, yes.
Okay. Due to the unfortunate circumstances that we are in, and for the safety of everyone here tonight, we have made adjustments to our public session for comments. We've set this up two ways. One, for those that wish to come in and address the board physically, we'll be having them come in one at a time to address the board. Those who are not present were asked if they wanted to comment, that they could email Mr. Doan, and those comments would be read publicly. So one thing I do want to point out is that the public comment is set up for the board to hear the public's voice, obviously. Therefore, board members will not respond during this time. We ask everyone to be respectful and the comments to be directed to the board as a whole. We will now go ahead and open up our meeting to recognize individuals and visitors at this time.
I need to go see if someone's. It'll take a minute or two of individuals standing outside and will be coming in. Hi, Susan.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Do you want me to sign in or anything? Or? Okay, just go for it.
Yes.
That's what I'm going to do.
We're
I'm just
ready.
going to go for it. First of all, thank you guys very, very much, because I know the whole world is crazy right now, and I know we're trying to all do this thing. So I really appreciate you guys letting me come in to be a voice for my coworkers, myself. I'm not just speaking for myself right now. I'm speaking for the 20 plus people that are standing out there in the parking lot in the cold, and others that weren't able to physically make it tonight. But I wanted to really express what EJHS is really needing right now. And the thing we're needing more than anything right now is consistency and stableness and a steady environment and a good environment. A few years ago, we were given to administration. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, first couple of years were rough. They didn't know us, we didn't know them. Nobody knew what was going on. And it was hard. It was hard for everybody. And we had a rough time. Fast forward 3 years. Thank you, my nose is running like crazy, goodness sakes. Fast forward for 3 years. During that 3 years, we've been able to build. We've been able to get a better environment. We've been able to do more. Cody has gotten more comfortable with us. We have gotten more comfortable with him. Early adolescence is a really, really hard time. One of the very first things Mr. Cody Lewis did when he came was set up a character traits program that he wanted to initiate with the students. We called it our Mustang Unity. We've been talking about trustworthiness, honesty, and everything that these students, life lessons basically they need to know. That is one of the first things that he did. With that, it actually allowed us to be rated higher on the Illinois Quality Assessment rubric than we have in the past. Our school has seen its shares of new teachers. Mr. Cody Lewis has been amazing with those new teachers this year, to the point where he has actually met with them throughout the year, just the new ones to our building, to check on their classrooms, make sure they've got everything they need, make sure they had their supplies, make sure everything was going on. keeping abreast of the whole situation. The thing that I really enjoy is anytime there's an appreciation gift or anything like that, it's delivered to our classrooms personally by Mr. Lewis and Mr. Schwarman. It's not just left in our mailbox. They actually come to our classroom, knock on our door, tell us thank you, hand it to us face to face. And that really means something to us. Those are just some examples of what Cody has brought to our building. With administration turnover, it's always a challenge, even under ideal circumstances. But I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, a possible shift in our administration right now really could not come at a worse time. We have 2 guidance counselors that have a decade worth of collaborative experience that will not be returning to our building. We will have 2 brand new counselors in our building this coming year. EJH, along with the entire district, finds itself in the middle of new online testing initiative, our MAP growth. We're working towards a new platform for data management for our students. The new teachers are going to continue to need training on the SLO and guidance. EJHS is also currently in year 1 of a 3-year quality review with the state, something that Mr. Lewis is very knowledgeable on. Finally, the building itself is nearly 2 years into a multi-year reconstruction. Considering all these changes, and especially now as our state and our nation struggle through the challenges of COVID-19, we believe that consistency is what we need and will be the key for our success. We need a principal that has fought through these situations with us. We need a principal that has had his over 10 years of administrative experience in our district. We need stability and consistency that having Mr. Cody Lewis as EJHS principal can give us. My coworkers and I respectfully ask that the school board take all these ideas into consideration when making any decisions. We respectfully ask for the consistency that we need. We ask that EJHS will be allowed to continue the growth that has been started and not having to begin all over again. Just like our building project is scheduled over a 3-year period, it's going to be 3 years before the building project is done because it has to be done step by step. I feel like that's what our building has been the last 3 years. We have grown step by step, and I know we can continue to grow, but we need your help with that. Again, I really thank you for allowing me to come in. I'm not going to take up any more of your time. I really appreciate you listening to our voice and taking everything into consideration. And I just ask that you grant us with the consistency that we need and the leader that we need. I ask that Cody Lewis could please remain our principal of EJHS. Thank you very much.
Can you just,
Thank you.
thank you. Can you go ahead and just, for the record, just state your name? So
Yes, Susan Young. I teach 8th grade computers and 6th grade science at Effingham Junior High School.
thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
Very
Thank
much,
you.
Susan.
Okay,
Do we have any other visitors?
no in-person visitors. I did receive some letters to be read, and so I'll just start with those, okay? This one is from Katie Breer and Barb Probst, co-teaching.
Do I need to see if there's anybody else that wishes to speak?
You can, that's fine.
You want me to do that?
Yeah. Thanks. Again, Katie Breer, Barb Probst, co-teaching the ELA team at EJHS. Dear Board of Education, of all our years in education that we've been at Effingham Unit 40 District, close to 30 years each, we have never individually addressed the school board about an issue. However, we feel passionate enough to do so tonight. We are writing on behalf of Cody Lewis. In the last decade, our building has experienced several changes in administration. There's been a revolving door, principals in and out. This has been stressful and overwhelming for the employees of our building. The foundation of unity was impossible because of the short-term lengths of the administrators. As stated in our letter that was sent to all of you a couple of weeks ago, the beginning of Cody Lewis's leadership did not start out on a positive note. It was stressful and there was a high level of anxiety. We've been nothing but honest about this. However, small positive changes started to take place in the last year and a half. As time passed, those changes grew to be more significant. These changes became common, positive dialogue among several teachers on a daily basis. Unity became realistic, and the excitement of this continued on throughout the year. We are not stating that everything is perfect, but we are saying that we have confidence in Cody Lewis. We want him back as our principal. We truly believe he will make more positive changes and make our school more successful. Please give us consistency and we will show you unity.
Also, please take into consideration about the effects of the coronavirus crisis. We have no certainty how long this will last, but we do know that we have a long journey ahead of us. We need Cody Lewis's leadership and knowledge to guide us through this. We need the consistency to give us the calmness and confidence to get our students back to a regular learning environment. Thank you for your time, and please feel free to contact us for any questions.
Mark, there's two people that want to talk.
There does appear to be two more people outside of left.
Oh, okay.
Very nice.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
I'm going to keep it short and simple.
Can you just state your name for the record?
Linda Baker, Secretary, Effingham Junior High.
Thank you, Linda.
I've had about the 2-3 years that Cody's been with us. Just want to keep it brief. Pretty much what people have already turned in is, I just want to reiterate, that's how I feel. We're a team. Cody, Charlie, Amy, Kathy Hilly, and I. To lose him at this time, especially with the construction and also this COVID, losing 2 counselors with a possibility. We know one has left for sure, but the other one is hanging in the air. I mean, this is going to be a big hit for our building, big hit. I've seen the unity grow. I've seen the morality start coming back, or I don't want to lose him. I have been through 4 or 5 principals now. Every time we lose one, it's a big hit in the building. It takes us back. This is a time we don't need to go back. We had I work a lot with the scheduling. I understand where Cody was coming from. The board gave him that ability, or I should say the permission to go what he wanted to try it. He tried it. Maybe it didn't work out on some people's opinions, but I understand where he's coming from because I do directly work with him on that. He's willing to go back. I mean, he also, we're lacking teachers. We got hit really hard with, like every building, but he has tried and he is trying. And I just wanted to reiterate that, it's going to be a big hit if we lose him at this time, especially losing 2 new, possibility 2 of the counselors. A lot of the teachers that we have lost the experience that we have lost over the couple of years, 3-4 years, the last, due to retirement or due to, just them leaving. Thank you for your time. Just wanted to give my opinion and my support to Cody.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
you.
Linda.
Okay.
You look great.
Well, good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. My name is Shelley Baker. I am the 8th grade ELA language arts teacher at EJHS. And I would just like to speak a few moments to you to talk on Mr. Lewis's behalf on why I feel like he is a great asset for our school. Coming to EJHS 3 years ago, I come into the school the same year Cody came in as the principal. So from coming from Arizona and coming into Effingham District, I am from the area, but going from Arizona and coming here and talking with Mr. Lewis, I could see the programs and the things that Mr. Lewis was trying to accomplish. Yes, you are going to have some teachers that are going to be a little, let's say, defiant of some of the changes, that they don't like some of the changes that he was trying to do or changes that our district would really need to have to make our district even better. Our school needs Mr. Lewis. He has the ability to direct our school into where it needs to be. He really does. I had a few bumps in the road my first year coming into EJHS, and he was very supportive of me. He backed me on everything that I wanted to do with my students and the things I wanted to accomplish, even though I was getting some resistance from some parents. But he backed me, and our program in the English department has grown because he has supported the English department in anything that we would want to do with our department, coming in with a curriculum that might have been, not a curriculum that was put into place over years. We were designing our curriculum, and he was supportive of it, and now we've got a great curriculum there at EJHS in the English department, and he's always been supportive of what us teachers have needed and what our students need. This is about our students and what they need. And I think you all would agree that it is about the students. We need somebody that's going to be there that is there for the students and wants to make it better for our students. We all want that. We all want our students to have the best education, and he, knowing him as a principal, is wanting the best education for our students. He's always provided us with anything that we need. He's always told us, whatever you need, we'll try to get it for you. It may not be in the budget, but we'll try to get it for you. He did that for us for our English department. He got us books, new curriculum books, or new books that we use for our curriculum. We asked that we had one for every student. We got one for every single student in the 8th grade, instead of just having a classroom set of 30 for each department. He's been very supportive of whatever ideas that we bring to him. He says, let me know, give me an email, we'll talk about it. And every time we have that idea, he's been very supportive. Our students need Mr. Lewis. He's very consistent with what our school needs. And like I say, it's been 3 years. Anything takes a little bit of time to get the kinks out of it. And I believe Mr. Lewis is doing a fantastic job with that. Again, being a newbie as well, being, 3 years, I've seen what it's like in in a different school district that was a little bit, bigger, obviously, being in Phoenix. I saw what it's like there. I've been in a school that had a lot of problems, and our school, as big as it is, has its problems like all schools. And we are doing a great job at EJHS, teachers and all, to make our students feel comfortable, feel safe, and they are getting the education that they need. They really are. And I just hope that you would take into consideration how us teachers feel, how we feel like he is a great asset to our school, and that you would consider, letting him continue so we can grow along with him and make our school the best school that we possibly can. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley.
Can you have Mr. Fox step in real quick? Shelley?
Yes, he's on his way.
Thank you. Is there anybody else?
Not that I know of. I
Okay.
asked, and he was willing to step forward, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. The next letter to read is from Nancy Irvin, teacher at EJHS. Dear Unit 40 Board of Education, I'm writing in support for Mr. Cody Lewis to continue to lead Effingham Junior High School as the principal. I feel Mr. Lewis has shown great improvement from last year. This year has been a lot better than the past years, and I feel that things are moving in the right direction. I've been at EJHS for 14 years, and this is my 4th principal. The turnover makes it hard to build relationships, build strong programs, and to have a sense of trust at the junior high. It also makes it hard to keep staff or hire quality candidates because of uncertainty that is always surrounding the junior high. I don't feel that Mr. Lewis has done much wrong to lose his job. He, along with the EJHS staff and students, deserve better. We have so much going on at the junior high right now that adding a new principal in the middle of these programs will make things so much harder and cause programs to have to start over from scratch. We are currently working with the ISBE, our local ROE, and the MTSS consultant to make a plan for our school to help reach the special needs populations with regard to the state testing. We have met numerous times this year, working on our multi-year plan that must be submitted and worked alongside with ISBE. Mr. Lewis has done an amazing job on coordinating, organizing, communicating, and planning for these meetings and guiding us on making our plan. If you change administrators during this lengthy program, the work we did this year might have all been thrown out and restarted with new ideas and programs for a new leader. That's a complete waste of time. Communication was an issue Mr. Lewis needed to work on, and he has. He has gone well above what other administrators that I have had ever done. He sends out weekly updates throughout the year, wants our opinions, and takes suggestions from the staff. He's also always there to listen and offer advice. During this unprecedented time, Mr. Lewis continues to stay connected with us, offering advice, suggestions, and is just checking on our health and well-being. Discontinuing Mr. Lewis's position as principal at the junior high would be detrimental, especially to the uncertainty we are all facing right now. Mr. Lewis has stepped up and has helped out many during this time. We don't know how the future holds for our school year, and having to come back to an uncertain future for our school staff and administration is just too much to handle at this time. When we return, we need all hands on deck to return to normal for our students and staff. Having the thought of a new leader in our building just creates more stress, anxiety, lack of trust, and emotional feelings that simply keeping Mr. Lewis would ease. In conclusion, I'd strongly request that you consider keeping Mr. Lewis as principal of EJHS. We need a strong leader during this time in our school history. Mr. Lewis is making great strides at being that leader we all need. The next one is from Mandy Lewis. To the board of Unit 40. I'm sorry I could not attend tonight's board meeting in person. Like many nights over the last few years, I'm home with my 4 children since I can easily work from home, and also because my husband spends countless hours dedicated to his job, well beyond the standard 40 hours a week. While I can't be there, I still wanted to share a few things with you as you make your final decision tonight. One that will make a huge impact on not only my husband, but importantly, the teachers and students at Effingham Junior High. Cody is a dedicated professional. He is reserved in nature, so his personality doesn't come through during initial interactions, but that's because his goal is to be professional with his team of teachers and his students. His focus is to build strong foundational relationships with his team. He is beyond dedicated to making Unit 40 a great place to work, and more importantly, a great place for the students. His dedication as a professional has surpassed that of any I've seen. Yes, I'm biased as his wife, but I also manage approximately 400 people and have some experience evaluating dedication and commitment to the job. His dedication, integrity, and professionalism surpass that of many. Trust me, we've had a number of conversations over the years about his dedication to the job. The district suggests they are interested in cultural changes, but how is that defined? I also work for a company that values teamwork and leadership. We engage with Gallup to continually focus on employee engagement and change management. For that reason, we search for leaders that have the integrity to make difficult decisions, even if that means upsetting a few people of the majority. We've also found that retention of leadership is critical to our success. Equally important is listening to our employees. We listen to all our employees, not just a small majority that might be fearful of change, whom we coach through change as years. Has churning principles helped your culture? What has the culture been like? How has it changed? What do you see this decision doing for team morale or building trust in that team? In his role, has Cody followed the directives initially assigned? I find it interesting that through all this, my husband, your principal, is focused on the concern he has for the team, not on how the decision personally affects him. He also feels strongly that regardless of what happens to him, there needs to be a stronger process in place for making these decisions to ensure transparency in the process. Respectfully, for someone to transition from having perfect review scores and never having any performance issues to suddenly be fighting to keep his job isn't right for anyone. Change in this area could lead to a stronger foundation of trust and help build the strong culture that all sides want to create. Since I recognize my voice probably means little because of my relationship to Cody, I'll leave you with this simple story, and not for sympathy, but to share his dedication to the team. Almost 1 year ago, on April 8th, I sat alone in the hospital with my 11-year-old son waiting on his MRI results for medical issues he had been experiencing. The doctors came back that day to tell me he had a brain tumor. Where was Cody? He was working for Unit 40. This decision has crippled him when he heard the news, but it was one that he made due to his dedication and commitment to the team he works for at Effingham Junior High. In closing, my hope with your decision tonight is that you'll listen to the feedback you've received from various people and think about how Cody has performed based on the guidelines in which he was hired. Implement change and build a strong culture. I hope you've seen those guidelines. These guidelines have occurred based on the responses from many of the teachers. None of us can make everyone happy, and in fact, if you're truly implementing a cultural change, you definitely won't please everyone. Regardless of a decision, I would like to wish the teachers and students at Effingham Junior High School the very best, as that's what my husband would do. And to Cody, you should be proud of the work you've done and the culture you've created. Those of us that know you know your commitment to the educational community, both teachers and students. Education needs more leaders like you. Respectfully and sincerely. The next is from Susie Cisna. She's a retired secretary from the high school. Good evening, Mr. Doan and Unit 40 Board of Education. While I prefer to show my support for Mr. Lewis in person, under the circumstances, this email will have to suffice. During my 18 years of working as an office secretary for Unit 40, first at the junior high and then EHS, I worked for many principals and assistant principals. Most were fabulous. One in particular was dreadful. I say this to demonstrate that after 18 years and 11 principals and assistant principals, I know the difference between a good administrator and a bad administrator. Cody's one of the good ones. I enjoyed my time working with him, not for him, but with him. That is one of the best qualities, putting a team together, making people feel valued. We were a team at EHS. I knew he would follow through, not shove issues aside. We got things done. We raised morale. He administered the handbook as required by you, the board. He was professional in every way. I loved coming to work every single day. That does not happen everywhere. Cody is a quiet guy, and this I'm sure you know. He does not toot his own horn. He does not look for the drama. He is, however, a very smart individual quietly doing a tough job. He comes to work every day to make Unit 40 schools a better place to work and learn. He's a good administrator. He deserves your support as well as mine. I implore you to reconsider your stance on retaining Mr. Lewis as junior high principal, respectfully. The next one's from Josh Robinson, EHS English teacher. Although I have not worked with Mr. Lewis for a few years, I would like to briefly share with you some skills that made him such an effective administrator while he worked at EHS. As the assistant principal, one of Mr. Lewis's main responsibilities was helping to create and maintain a safe, consistent learning environment for students. As a former high school teacher himself, Mr. Lewis understood that students have trouble learning when they do not feel secure in what is expected of them. From what I experienced, Mr. Lewis treated every student consistently, relying on the board-approved and community-influenced handbook to help shape his decisions. While this occasionally made him unpopular with students who chose to repeatedly disregard policies, this consistency helped maintain an environment conducive to success. This willingness to take the heat, so to speak, to sometimes get verbally abused by students and even parents on occasion, made it easier for the teachers in the classroom to continue to do their jobs. Although I no longer work with Mr. Lewis, I do know that this element of his character remains the same. And I would ask that the board take this character trait into consideration when making their decision. Thank you for your time. The next one's from Donna Walls. Donna is a retired teacher in the district. My name is Donna Walls, director of musical at Effingham Junior High the past 15 years. You may remember that my cast of Lion King Jr. was recognized and sang at a recent board meeting. I'm a retired special education teacher from Unit 40 with 28 years of teaching. I began directing the musical before I retired from the classroom and continued doing so for 7 years because I love it. During the 15 years, I've worked with 4 different principals. While I am only in the building from August to November on a regular basis, I interact with approximately 60 plus students and their parents, much of the teaching staff, custodial staff, office staff, guidance staff, and administration. It's come to my attention that Mr. Lewis is being questioned relative to his ability as an administrator at the junior high. I worked with Cody at EHS when we were both in the classroom. And I admit I was unsure how he would support the theater program I've worked hard to grow. I'm able to state with no hesitation that Cody has been a pleasure to go to throughout the 3 years he has been at EJHS. During the season, I am in the building rehearsing and building sets, and I am frequently needing input from the office. I found Cody to be available, responsive, and attentive to things I've needed to make my job easier. I found that he and Charlie have knowledge and relationships with students that establish respect and ability to discipline when needed. I've appreciated their input about students and support with parents in difficult situations. I feel the climate in the building has changed for the better for the students by implementing consistent rules as well as a skills period at the end of the day. I would not be in favor of any decision to reassign Mr. Lewis from his present position as principal of EJHS. Be happy to discuss this letter and my position with anyone if it would help Mr. Lewis in any way. This is from Donna Rhodes, retired EHS teacher. I've known Cody Lewis for 20 years, first as a fellow teacher, then as administrator at EHS. I have the following comments on Mr. Lewis. As a teacher, I always knew that when taking a situation to Mr. Lewis, he would listen to me and take action if it was needed. I found him to act fair and honestly with all involved. Mr. Lewis would follow up and check on students and situations that I had brought to him. Mostly, I noticed how seriously Mr. Lewis took his responsibilities as an administrator to ensure the best educational atmosphere for students. Mr. Lewis is a man of good character and integrity, a great example for students to look up to. Being a building administrator in this day and age is a thankless job. Most of the people you deal with are angry or upset. It's impossible to please everyone. Having an administrator such as Mr. Lewis on staff is an asset to Unit 40. Sincerely. Next one's from Kristen Harvey, Director of Transportation. I would like to express my deep concerns regarding the reassignment of Cody Lewis as a parent of a student attending EJHS, as well as a Unit 40 employee. To date, EJHS has had 6 different principals in 20 years. It's an average of 3.3 years of EJHS having a revolving door for a lead administrator in that building. I think it's safe to say that any new administrator hired for this position, based on past history, would have a difficult assignment, correct? Well, Mr. Lewis accepted the challenge wholeheartedly, and the positive change that occurred in that building is quite visible. Look at his 2 distinguished evaluations, his first and second year respectively. At the end of the 2019 school year, he was asked to improve on specific items by the board. Based on what the new board charged Mr. Lewis to accomplish and the input from staff at EJHS, he did just that. In spite of implementing the changes as requested by the new board members, his most recent review was proficient, missing a distinguished evaluation by a few points. So how does an employee who's had nearly 3 excellent reviews and not one negative written warning in his file find himself reassigned? Knowing how hard Mr. Lewis has worked and what he has sacrificed to make EJHS a better place for students and staff is nearly indescribable. With his passion and work ethic and desire for the staff and students to succeed is an unfathomable to me as why the school board sees this as an option at all. Improvement at this location and building staff morale will take time and continued work. He is on track to succeed, but we have to remember it only takes a few individuals to derail change and cause havoc for any administrator who's attempting to further the goals assigned to him for the betterment of staff and students. I honestly believe that only a few voices have been heard, and that is of those who are resistant to change. I think it's very important for each board member to go into the building, talk to all the teachers before following through with this decision. I sincerely believe it would give you a different perspective on the truth of this situation. Please give him a chance. Stand behind him and support him. Give him the credit he deserves for embracing the goals you gave him and attempting to change the culture in this building from good to great. Based on the average past administrative tenures, it's evidence it will take time, patience, cooperation from all levels of this building's educational system to implement the changes you requested. Please give Mr. Lewis the time, respect, and support he needs to continue to reach the goals you assigned him to complete. I'm concerned as a parent the students will suffer tremendously. With the current situation of COVID-19 and the students being out of school for a minimum of 3 weeks, possibly longer, state testing will not continue for this year. There are many unknown questions at this time on how the quarters will be completed, when and if students will make up the time, many other certain uncertainties. The school board members are suggesting that this is the time to hire a new principal in the fall. Remember, we have 2 new counselors who will be starting this fall that will need guidance on how the district currently operates, along with piloting new programs that will be implemented this fall. There will also be changes in the teaching personnel due to retirement and or possible resignations. Personally, I have a child that attends EJHS. This type of major change is very, very worrisome. The education of Unit 40 students should be the number one priority. The staff and students will need a leader more than ever next year. So before you make the decision of its magnitude, please think of the kids and put their best interests first. I hope and pray for the education of Unit 40 students will be more important than a personal agenda. We ask students to be honest, responsible, respectful, and I can only hope you're doing the same before you make a decision that could have far-reaching consequences at this delicate point in time concerning my child and others. When receiving the best education possible to prepare them for the next level of education, high school is critical. Sincerely. Next one is from Jelena Robinson, a science teacher at the junior high. Robinson, sorry. To the board, I wish I could attend in person to share this letter, but I'm outside right now sitting in my car like many others who are here to show support for Mr. Lewis. I've been a member of the EJHS Science Department for 20 years and at the junior high school level. Science labs are a very important part of our curriculum. Labs allow students to practice real science skills and are a necessary part of any quality science curriculum. Labs take resources in the form of materials and time to set up. However, and one very positive thing Mr. Lewis accomplished as EJHS administrator was providing our department with those resources, which directly impact students at EJHS. He worked with us to provide a concrete and realistic budget that allows science teachers to purchase lab supplies. This funding is vital for quality science experience for our students and just one of the many great things Mr. Lewis has done for students at EJHS. Besides helping the science department do our job, Mr. Lewis worked tirelessly over the past summer so all the teachers at EJHS could begin to do their job once school began. As construction updates continued right up to the last week before school started, and even after school started in some parts, Mr. Lewis did what he could to physically move furniture and equipment in and out of classrooms. Mr. Lewis, alongside with Mr. Schwimmer, spent hours moving boxes so students would have a place to learn when school started. Most recently, as schools throughout the nation closed due to COVID-19 emergency, Mr. Lewis continues to work specifically to hand out lunches for hundreds of Unit 40 students each day. This daily practice of potential exposure puts his health at risk, but continues to join other Unit 40 personnel students so they can continue to have nourishment during this time of crisis. His dedication to this district, to students and staff, are obvious. In closing, and due to our national emergency, I would ask you to seriously consider how important it will be for our staff and students to have consistency in the months and even years ahead. The district as a whole, and EJHS especially, are going through a number of adjustments even before schools were shut down. So it seems that keeping a dedicated leader with 10 years of experience in the district would be an appropriate decision. Thank you for your time and take care. Next one is from Kathy Peters, a head cook at junior high school. I'm writing this email in lieu of recent acknowledgement that Cody Lewis has been asked to step down and fill a role as a teacher in the district. Though I don't know the circumstances for this decision, I feel that Cody has always been a great asset to this school. As head cook at the junior high, I've had the opportunity and pleasure to work beside Cody Lewis the past 3 years. He has been nothing but great with the kitchen staff and myself. He is very punctual when changes needed to be made. He is always pleasant and positive to be around, and he has always been very involved in the students' daily routines, whether that be for positive reinforcement or disciplinary actions. I truly believe Cody Lewis has done an exemplary job as a principal at junior high and will be sadly missed if taken out of this position. Sincerely. Next was from Holly Dust, a junior high special ed teacher. As many of you know, this past year has been very emotional and challenging for me and my family. My school family, including Cody, has helped me through this difficult time. Since my diagnosis was made in May of 2019, I was able to have my rough treatments during the summer. I would like to share the many acts of kindness Mr. Lewis offered. Unexpected visit to my home during the summer to make sure I was doing okay with the news. the help in my classroom, offering to give me a break during the day if I just needed a couple minutes to myself, setting up and getting my classroom ready for me at the beginning of school, continuous encouragement, concern, and support, especially days around my chemo treatments. Make sure I have a backup plan if I would have to leave unexpectedly. He made sure the little issues that I would worry about every school year were not there for me. I could go on and on with this list. I've had an amazing school year. It would not have been like this without Cody. He's taken some responsibilities off my job this year to make sure I am taking care of my health. He has gone above and beyond his responsibilities to make my school year run smoothly. The last 2 years, Cody has been trying. I know I can't give every detail about the school year, but I truly believe Cody is changing his ways for the better. This year, Cody has been making great changes, and I feel he will make more changes in the right direction if given more time. Please reach out to me if you'd like to discuss. Thank you. This next one is from Jeff Leisher. He's the head custodian at the junior high. My name is Jeff Leisher. I'm the head custodian at the Effingham Junior High School. I've been working with the unit for almost 26 years. I'm emailing you this letter about the possibility of moving Mr. Lewis from the junior high principal. I've worked with a lot of great administration, staff, and board members throughout the years. I've always respected the decisions the board makes. I would like for you to reconsider this move. Mr. Lewis is a hard worker. He has always had respect for his staff and the junior high kids. I do know that he has helped custodial out so much in his time here. This is the first time I've ever wrote to the Board of Education. We do not want to lose Mr. Lewis as a principal. I have learned so much from him in the few years that I've known him. I am one that enjoys learning from a knowledgeable man like Mr. Lewis and would like many more years with him. Mr. Lewis, Mr. Schwerman, and Mr. Fox have helped me so much with keeping construction on track. The building would not be where it is today without these guys. I would not have been here where I am today without them. They all put in countless hours and willing to help out with whatever needs done. With leadership, respect, and determination at the junior high, also with the help of the administration, the board, and the Unit 40 staff, we can all make a better environment for all. I do want to thank you for your time, hard work, and the time you give to make a better learning environment for our kids. Thank you. And then the last one I have is from Marina Zaring, who is a Spanish teacher at EHS. I want to express my appreciation and support for the positive influence Cody Lewis has shared over the years with students, parents, and other staff members. I have known him for several years and observed him at work in varying roles and in different buildings. I first became acquainted with Cody when my youngest son was playing football for EHS. Not only did Cody promote good sportsmanship and camaraderie amongst the members of the team, but he was interested in the overall health and well-being of each player. He asked the boys to adopt nutritious habits such as avoiding sodas and carbonated sugary beverages. This challenge was adopted by my son as a freshman, and he continued this healthy habit throughout high school. At this time in our son's life, the advice and example of his coach had a very positive effect on him. I was later able to observe Cody as he served as an assistant principal at EHS. In addition to taking care of discipline issues, he observed many teachers and gave valuable feedback on how they can make improvements to their teaching assignments. Some of his suggestions concern classroom management, involvement with the community, among other topics. I, myself, am among those teachers who appreciated the care and detail that he displayed when he observed our classes. I've also had the opportunity to observe Cody's relationship with students over the years. During the time I've known him, I've watched him take an interest in helping students and families who struggle with various economic and relationship issues. He often developed a rapport with students who might not have had many friends who found themselves in difficult circumstances. Again, I want to express my gratitude for the countless contributions Cody Lewis has made to Unit 40 schools, students, and community. Sincerely. Okay, those are the items that I received by email through 5 o'clock today. So.
Well, we want to thank everyone for reaching out to the board in regards to this matter. So we're going to go ahead and move on.
Mr. Lewis, can I ask you, we need Mr. Fox in here.
Yes, we do.
Sorry. We can only have 10 in here at a time.
That's
We're on the financial report, Mr. Fox.
Okay, the February, March financials. We found ourselves with a net fund balance of $30,614,881.66. Of that, the operating funds made up $21,166,256.21. And the HLS funds equaled $6,486,485.37. In revenues, the education fund received from local $597,431.48. From the state, $567,756.62. And from the federal government, $118,312.87. And those are listed out on page 13. Expenses over $5,000 are broken out separately. They begin on page 14. And our recommendations this month are to reimburse the interest account in the amount of $939.72. That's listed out on page 17. And payment of bills in the amount of $581,551.86. Of that, this month we only had $400 of HLS work. So, first time one.
Do we have any questions from board members regarding the financial report? No? Okay. So we will go ahead and need a motion. Here, a motion to reimburse the interest account in the amount of $939.72 and the payment of bills in the amount of $581,551.86.
I'll make that motion.
Motion, Brad. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Steve. Roll call.
Robin Klosterman,
Yes.
Brad Waldoff,
Yes.
Jill Winley,
Yes.
Jane Willenberg, Kathleen Smith, yes. Steve Bone,
Yes.
Angie Byers.
Yes. Okay, moving on to our consent agenda. We had minutes from February 19th, February 24th, March 2nd, and March 11th in our packets. We did not have any student teachers listed this time. We have a fundraiser for Central to sell used books and posters. Oh, sorry. To sell used books and posters from May 27th to the 29th. And we did not have any field trips. So is there any questions regarding the consent agenda?
I'm assuming these dates could potentially change for the
They could.
fundraisers giving.
They
Just wanted to clarify.
Not hearing any questions. If we have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Kathleen,
I'll second it.
second. Brad, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, none. Motion carries. Real quick, I wanted to,
You know who that's from.
Mr. Fox, she's got the thank you. You want to tell her about that?
Sure.
Yeah.
That thank you was dropped off by a family who stopped in at Southside to pick up lunch last week. And the mom handed it to us and said that she really appreciated us doing that for her kids, and each of the kids have signed the card.
okay, I don't know if everyone heard what Mr. Fox just informed us of. We have a card here that was dropped off from a family who picked up lunches at Southside. And it says, "Thank you for all you have done for us." And it is signed from Zach, Aria, and Ashley. So, thank you.
Real quick, if it could, Mr. Fox, could you just share a little bit on the lunch, just up to date? Because we've had about 6-7 days, or just kind of, short.
Well, when school closed down so suddenly, we were tasked with still making sure students had access to food. Came together. Denise Anderson has been amazing, our food service director. She and her team of cooks district-wide have come in early in the morning and produced massive amounts of sack lunches. They have made lunches with a sandwich, cheese stick, fruit, vegetables, the milk's in there, there's a snack, and they have mass produced this. About 1,400 lunches they produced already to this point with the closure, which we are on day 5. of our feeding kids. We have fed well over 200 kids every day at 5 different locations. We've had volunteers from our teaching staff, our support staff, every administrator in the district has volunteered. That we have people lined up to volunteer. So it's working very well. We are, it takes about 5 hours. We're only handing out lunches for an hour and a half, but it takes about 5 hours of work just to getting that together and out to where it needs to be. So we have locations that in front of the K Jewelers now, because now they're closed down. We were in Cole's parking lot, but we moved it out closer to the road. So we have a location there. We have a location at Southside School, the high school, Mason Christian Church, and also down in Edgewood at Mason Township Park District, which is the old Edgewood grade school. And so we have staff members there every day handing out food. So, and then we've partnered with Blessings in a Backpack to where now they have delivered multiple totes of food. So when they get their lunches, we are now giving them those items as well. So it's been a big process, but it's paid off. The parents have been showing up for food and then also for educational packets. Each of the buildings, each of the principals went through and made packets by grade level, and they have been running copies after copies after copies. We've asked the principals to keep that up, and so they've been in their buildings and they've been running copies through this whole thing and delivering them to me so I can put them in the boxes. Penny has been huge. She's been there every morning, lining up volunteers, helping stuff boxes, getting things out the door. So it's been a real team effort. So.
Thank you.
That's
Thank you.
great.
Thank you.
Because
That's
I
fantastic.
did have a lot of questions in my email to you, and that's what I was curious about is what are the numbers? How many people are actually coming? Are we running out? Do we have a lot extra? So.
The first day was about 155. After that, we've been over 200 every day coming to each of the locations. A lot of people come now and say, well, I don't need the food yet. I just want the educational packets.
Right.
Because when this was announced, what did everybody do? Everybody ran to the grocery store and bought everything they had. Well, the grocery stores are having a hard time keeping up. And we're starting to see our numbers grow as people are getting tired or running out of what they have at home. So the numbers are going up.
Good.
I think our plan is to continue as long as we don't have school.
Right.
And so we don't know what that will be. So
And we are required?
no, we're not
or
required.
voluntary?
Yeah, it's
Okay,
not
I just
required.
want,
There's a high percentage. I want to say over
there was a
90%
requirement.
of school districts in the state are providing some sort of food.
Good,
So
excellent.
But, at the future board meeting, I will share with you the list of people who have stepped up and volunteered. I think it's important for you to know all those people.
Well, and I was curious about that, like about how many staff members are at each location per day.
Right
Yes,
now,
we want
we
to
have
help any of
2 to
that.
3
Okay.
at each location. We were sending 3, got feedback, well, we only need 2. So versus getting people volunteering too many days, we've cut that back to 2 at most locations. The high school still has 3 to 4 because we're seeing close to 100 every day going out the door at the high school. People are just more comfortable pulling through there.
It's easy to pull through.
Yeah, it's easy to get to in and out. So that's kind of our workload now. Thursdays and Fridays, Penny's been adding another person because that's Blessings in a Backpack we're going out. They've now asked us to go ahead and hand those bags out every day. So we're just going to stick with what we have. So.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the new business. Yeah, you might as well come back. We're gonna talk about the forklift purchase.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I can't remember when it was now. It's been a long process to get here. We were delivering lights to the sports complex using the forklift. And we had a student going through the student parking lot at the high school, traveling a little faster than they should have, turned a corner and ran right smack into the side of the forklift, damaging the forklift to the point that OSHA will not allow us to use the forklift. So the forklift that we have was a 1997 forklift with over 14,000 hours on it. I believe we bought it in 1998 used, and we've used it all along. So we definitely got our money's worth out of it. The issue came is when we started working, our insurance started working with the insurance of the student. That insurance company said 1997, 14,000 miles, it's worth $600. For us to buy a new one, we're looking at over $13,000. I wasn't comfortable with that. Luckily, wife's insurance really went to bat for us, and they battled it out for a long time on the price, and we finally got up to about $6,075 is what we're going to get out of our forklift that was totaled. Went to Barnes, looked at a variety of forklifts they have in stock, used. A new one is not what we need. And we found a 2004 forklift that has about 9,000 hours on it, that the price is going to be $13,100. When we subtract out the $6,075, that leaves us with $7,025 we're going to have to pay out of pocket. But we have to have a forklift. This is what we use at the warehouse. It's how we receive all of our shipments. So at some point we do have to get a forklift. So we're recommending going with Barnes, buying the 2004. That particular model, Barnes is putting brand new tires on it. We're going to touch it up, make it look nice with paint. It's going to go through their paint because we have found that when something looks nice, people treat it nicer. When it's beat up, people treat it like it's beat up. So we want it to be in top shape when it comes in, so it'll last us hopefully, 25 years like the last one. So
How many hours do you expect to get from a forklift like that?
14,000. They were shocked that we were still running ours with 14,000. I will give credit to our mechanics, Gene Bartel and Troy. They did a great job of servicing all of our units, and now Troy has taken that over with Jason, and they have done a good job of servicing. That's the only reason why it was running.
And this one has how
This one
many?
has
9,000.
Yeah, it's 9,000 too many if 14,000 is
But
beyond an expected.
for us, we're going to use it maybe 500 hours a year. Okay. So we're going to get 10 years out of this. And the way we service them, we'll probably get longer than that.
Yeah, that's what's my concern too. It
Yeah.
sounded like a lot of hours on.
Right.
We don't drive it all day, every day. We drive it when trucks come in, which we get shipments 3 or 4 times a day. So you're talking an hour here, 30 minutes there. That's the extent of what we're using it for. It's busier in the spring and fall because that's when a lot of our orders come in, so with 9,000 hours, that should last us a long, long time. Okay.
And we do all the maintenance on them?
We do the
or-
With us buying it from Barnes, we'll let them do the maintenance the first year,
Okay.
and then we'll take over because that's part of us purchasing the
1
local.
year- 1 year
Is they
maintenance.
come in and do all that stuff for us. So
Okay.
that's why we like to do it local if we can.
Absolutely.
So
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. We would need a motion to purchase a 2004 forklift from Barnes Toyota Lift at a cost of $6,075.
it would be $7,025.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Do we need to wait for the insurance check, or do we get that immediately? It can be applied, or do we need to?
It's gonna come in pieces, because what's gonna happen is we're gonna get $600 back from Barnes for the trade-in. We're gonna get $5,075 right now, and then we get another $1,000 whenever the insurance sells or the other insurance for extra charges. So it's gonna come in periodically. So, but we need a forklift because we can't do anything over there right now in loading, so I'd like to buy it.
So we need to approve the 13 then, right? Not the 7, or what are we? We
You
need to.
you can approve the $725
Okay.
because that's what it's gonna cost us when I get it done. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
So a net of 725 at the
Yes,
end. Then.
yes.
So,
If we
okay.
put it-
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
$7,000.
Right. Do we write it? Yeah. We write a check.
We will
for
write a
13.
check for 13, and we're going back in to cover the other.
Sorry about that with the number there. So it was a motion for the 2004 forklift in the amount of $7,025 from Barnes.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Robin. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Steve. Roll call.
Jill Winley,
Yes.
Jane Willenberg, Kathleen Smith, yes. Steve Bone,
Yes.
Angie Byers,
Yes.
Robin Klosterman,
Yes.
Brad Waldoff.
Yes.
Okay, moving on, we would need a motion to enter into closed session for appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the district.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Brad. We have a second.
Second.
Second, Robin. Roll call.
Jane Willenberg, Kathleen Smith, yes. Steve Bone,
Yes.
Angie Byers,
Yes.
Robin Klosterman,
Yes.
Brad Waldoff,
Yes.
Jill Winley.
Yes.
We need to take a short break. We're gonna go through.
How we doing?
is not the most ideal setup. But what you gotta do.
before you sing. Oh my gosh. It feels like
colder in here.
What is this?
There's probably that yellow sheet. Oh, yeah.
It is cold in here.
It was hot in there.
Yes, it was.
See, I didn't think that either.
Oh,
It was cold out here to begin with.
You can sure feel the temperature changing.
Yeah.
We are now back in open session. We would need a motion to approve the minutes of closed session.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Brad. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Jill. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. Motion carries. Personnel list. We had that enclosed. Do you want to go over that? Sorry.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Okay. Employment of staff would be Morgan Dries as a teacher, ECE / preschool. Transfer of Kelly Lohman to first and second grade interventionist at Southside. A resignation of Lexi Nieberge Boggs as a special ed teacher, junior high assistant softball and track at the end of the year. Retirements of Dawn Byram, head cook at Southside, at the end of this year. Jenny Fruchtel, guidance counselor at the junior high at the end of this year. And then Ellen Brummer, EHS teacher at the end of the 2021-22 school year.
Do we have a motion to approve the personnel list?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Steve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Robin. Roll call.
Angie Byers.
Yes.
Robin Klosterman.
Yes.
Brad Waldoff.
Yes.
Jill Winling.
Yes.
Jane Willenberg.
Yes.
Kathleen Smith, yes. Steve Bone.
Yes.
Okay. The next is a motion to approve the resolution authorizing issuance of notice of proposed reclassification of Principal Cody Lewis. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Robin. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jill. Roll call.
Kathleen Smith, no. Steve Bone.
Yes.
Angie Byers.
No.
Robin Klosterman.
Yes.
Brad Waldoff.
No.
Jill Winling.
Yes.
Jane Willenberg.
Yes.
We need a motion to adjourn our meeting. A motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Kathleen. Second.
I'll second it.
Second by Brad. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, none. Motion carries. Have a good evening, and thank you for those of you who have joined us this evening.